He needs to turn on his mic and his K. We are live on
Can you hear me now?
YouTube. I can hear you now.
Can you see me now?
I can see you now.
Cool.
And I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy the other night.
I can see all obstacles in my way.
I was up with a friend of mine trying to catch the sunset, and that weather came in. That was nuts. Monday. Oh, Monday it was.
Well, I can tell this is gonna be a fun session. Like your video's already going wonky on us. So
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll see like if anybody else joins in here. But okay, let me move some stuff around here. But yeah, we should be up on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook.
All right.
All right, not showing that we got anybody watching us just yet, so it's just the two of us BSing. But people will be able to go back and like watch what we're bullshitting about. So, but we were talking ghosts and demons. We're gonna like continue down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. That was a good one last week. So it's good. Kind of glad you're keeping that one going on.
Yeah, with that, I mean, we went into like a little bit of like the Tooele Valley and like some of the myths and whatnot around there, some of the folklore there, but I wanted to get more into like the demonic stuff today. So I guess here's a heavy question for you.
Okay.
And that would be like in all of your experience with wizarding and the paranormal and the supernatural, have you ever encountered what you believe would be a demon?
I don't know exactly if you'd call it a demon, but I mean I have ran into some pretty evil things before. And it's not that you're like, oh, this might be evil, like as you're standing there, like, wow, this is nothing good about this whatsoever. So
Okay.
I don't know though, like I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I'd say with all of your adventures, what would you say is the most terrifying thing that you've ever encountered?
People. No, no, a lot of it's just when you get into certain areas, like every area has its own little energy and its own feel to it. But yeah, there's some areas where you look up and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna camp up there tonight, and you get a couple steps on up that path, and you're just like, no, I'm not. And it's not, looks like a nice area, looks like a great area, but you just get this thing that hits you, this energy, and it's just like, no, maybe we shouldn't stay there tonight. And you just find out it's either a weird area known for things to go screwy, or it's just known as an evil area by the locals. So there's been a lot of the really terrifying stuff hasn't been necessarily energy or stuff like that. It's been mostly dealing with animals and dealing with people. Like, I think the energy stuff you kind of get used to after a while, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. I'd say I guess personally, like in my own adventures, my own experiences, it's especially walking into any unknown situation, especially if it's like a location that people know to be haunted. It's like ghosts are actually the last thing that I'm worried about, because I mean, like, ghosts, demons, the paranormal. But yeah, it's people. People are the real monsters.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The Skinwalker experience. You want to hear about that?
Oh yeah.
So, again, I didn't really run the guy down to ask him, but so I get dropped off just out of Ballard, Utah, and I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's after dark. I was like, okay, so I figure country road, just out there. I step off the side of the road, set up, not a full camp, just throw out a bedroll and try to get some sleep. I'm kind of on this little embankment, and that I don't have a fire, nothing like that. It's a nice night out. I go to sleep. Well, I wake up a couple hours later because I could have swore there was something there. Well, I was like, okay, whatever, go back to sleep. Then a little while later, I wake up and there's something that just like jumping over me, and I hear it take off. So I get up and I'm a little freaked out because I'm like, well, that's crazy, And then I'm sitting there. Of course, I'm not going back to sleep at this point. I'm just like, I'm contemplating whether I should just keep walking in the dark or light a fire, or just hang out. And, weird stuff happens all the time,
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this thing jumps over me, lands right next to the road. And it's the craziest looking thing. It kind of looks like a person, but it kind of doesn't. And then I hear this weird growl that's definitely, it's a person trying to growl. You know that sound.
Yeah.
Like a person trying to type of thing. And then it just takes off running. And as soon as it started running, you're like, no, that's a person. But it looked like they had their coat up around them or some weird thing like that, and just acting kind of crazy. And of course, I'm like, well, I guess meth, that's one hell of a drug, and always seems you're in the wrong area to camp. So I grabbed my stuff and headed down the road. I didn't want to deal with this tweaker weirdo. Well, I find another little spot. Don't have any other issues for the rest of the night. And it's already, it's probably like 2-3 in the morning at this point anyways. So I sit there, I make my way over to this little gas station. Well, it turns out when they dropped me off almost smack dab in between Ballard and the ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch out there. So I inadvertently actually stayed a night out on the side of the road, not too far away from the perimeter of the Skinwalker Ranch. And the gal was telling me at the gas station, because I told her what happened, and she said it's probably nothing, but that sometimes people get weird experiences. And I just thought, for me, like, I wasn't thinking of it at the time until somebody had said something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if it was somebody that thought they were a skinwalker or if it was an actual skinwalker. From what I've read up on the legends, it wouldn't be an actual one, or I gotten some really weird, bad juju going on, or it could have went dangerous, but kind of weird the shit you see when you're out and about.
So, yeah, if I'm thinking like the most terrifying thing that I've seen, as far as something that would be like, the realm of like paranormal, yeah, I'd say actually kind of goes back to I think I would have been about 12 years old at the time, and there was something going on in the house that we were staying in, and it was just this weird energy that night. And we could tell like something was off. And we were down in the basement. My brother and I were down in the basement, and it's like started like turning on the lights. We're like, something bad is happening. And at that time, shit just went crazy. There were books flying off the shelves and doors slamming shut. It's like we rush up the stairs and through the kitchen. There's dishes flying across the kitchen at us. And we all pile into the living room. The whole family is there. And, well, grew up LDS. So, probably like a lot of people watching this are, familiar with like Mormonism and how they try to handle anything that they put in the realm of the supernatural. It's, put the hand to the square and say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave and blah, blah, blah. And so my dad was trying that and absolutely nothing was working. And like doors were slamming shut, dishes were flying across the kitchen, and we were all just freaking out. So this is where we found out that apparently, because my dad eventually called his dad, who came over and found that, well, my grandpa apparently had a little bit of knowledge in the occult and dabbled in black magic and things like that. And he came in and was talking to all of us, and he's like, well, it's like, you guys have a poltergeist. This isn't necessarily like a ghost or a demon or anything like that. And it's actually my older brother apparently was the one who was throwing it. So, and eventually things calmed down that night. And the weird thing is that I don't know if it's happened in ages, but every now and again, like when he would get super emotional, like something weird would happen, just like a book would like fly off of a shelf or something like that for no damn reason. And I know he kind of like beat himself up for a long time there because he's like, well, I know I can do this. I just don't know how to fucking control it. So, but I would say, yeah, that was probably more terrifying then. But yeah, we were wanting to go into like actual demons and stuff here, and we actually have people on Facebook that are watching. I think we got like one person on Twitch actually that's watching right now. So actually have a little bit of an audience.
There's somebody.
So and honestly, with my own like ghost hunting experience, I'd say if it's an actual demon, most actual demons, at least the ones that I've encountered, I would much rather deal with those than a lot of what I would call wraiths or the angry dead. Those are a lot more unpredictable. They're a lot more of a loose cannon, and they won't. It's like, and when they lash out, who knows what's going to happen. So most demons, or what I would call a demon, they have kind of a code of conduct, and so we got somebody asking, said, does my brother get migraines? It's like, oh yeah, he gets migraines, and my dad gets migraines too, like to the point where my dad will like have not like a blackout, but just everything goes like completely white in his vision when he gets his migraines. So, which is, I say like a lot of times, like the weirdness that's in our family, I think is like passed down on my mom's side, but it's like, I think that might be something that was passed down from my dad to my brother. So, but anyhow, demons. What are your thoughts there, Alan?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any specific circumstances where I feel like I've dealt with something like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm usually the type, especially like being by myself a lot. If I do get like kind of wonky or weird feelings, I just let it be and kind of move on to the next spot. I remember early on, a few mutual acquaintances, they were getting into some pretty crazy dark stuff, and yeah, so I don't know, you kind of at first I don't know, that whole evil onset thing where it kind of forces you, like, you want to panic, you're kind of paralyzed with like fear and panic and everything.
Yeah,
you kind of get used to being around that when people are doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's nothing I can, like, I don't know. I've never directly had like a demon come out and be like, hey, I'm so and so, I'm a demon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, demonic forces, yeah, there's God, all over the place. There's certain spots that you can go, and yeah, it's definitely dark. Definitely has a demonic feel to it.
So I think the interesting thing there is going through like the different like types of spirits and understanding like the motives of the different types of spirits. You have, yeah, you go into like various areas out in nature, and you're gonna, well, I mean that feeling that you're talking about. Um, it's like I've definitely felt that with like wraiths and things that have lived before, and yeah, I'd say those encounters, for me anyway, they've been more terrifying than demonic encounters, and with that, I think it's because demons have an agenda, and this is and anybody that like wants to chime in, um, definitely, like if you have an opinion on the topic, we'd love to hear it. But my experience in dealing with demons is that you're gonna get them one or two ways. So one is that it's hereditary. So yeah, and a lot of times, a lot of it comes down to, it's like when you really start studying demonology and things like that, it all comes back to a demonic pact has to be made at some point. And if somebody in your family makes a pact with a demon, then usually your family is stuck with that demon, and it gets passed on down the line. So that's probably the most common one that I'll encounter, is somebody dealing with a family demon. And the thing with family demons is those ones, they can be quite difficult to work with, because the longer that they've been around and the longer that they've like gone down the family line, then the more attached and the more powerful they can become. So then the other way, it's like when we're talking about like dealing with the demonic demonic pacts, it's like, are you familiar with like the Goetics and the Keys of Solomon?
Very vaguely, very vaguely.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of those areas where they say like, okay, well, don't go diving into this, or well, I guess for me it's more of like I approach it more from like a scholarly angle. So I like to learn this stuff, but I'm like, okay, yeah, we're talking like the big bad demons and whatnot, and like the the things that like King Solomon like came across that he supposedly sealed up, and like, yeah, I'm not going to go invoking any of these things. So, but there are people that have tried, and well, the funny thing about it is that you have like, there's actually, it's on there's one in particular, there's a video on Amazon. I forget what it's called, but it's very like cheesy, like 1990s, early 1990s home movie quality. And it's the OTA that produced the video. So it's the Ordo Templar Astarte. And they're talking about the demon Astaroth, which is interesting because that's, a demon that like I personally have experience there. So it's yeah, in Sumerian, in Samaria, it would have been Inanna. Then Babylon was Ishtar. Then throughout Europe was Astarte. And King Solomon demonized her as Astaroth. So, oh crap, where am I going with all this? Oh yeah, demonic pacts. So, and the Keys of Solomon. So anybody that's like deep in like the demonology, this and the like the Keys of Solomon or anything like that, will tell you at this stage, even though you do have like various different orders like the OTA and whatnot that still hold to the Keys of Solomon, they would say these don't work anymore. And a lot of times you have like amateur like demonologists or wizards or whatnot that will try using the different rites and rituals that are in the Keys of Solomon and get their asses absolutely handed to them. I say a lot of that is just because it's, and a lot of that, it's very much the old like Gnostic magics and whatnot. It's invoking the tetragrammaton, which is like the symbol that's supposed to represent like the true name of God. And it's all very much like the calling forth when they're like when they're casting the circle, they're calling forth like the four major archangels and really just bullying these things in the name of, the true God and so on and so forth. And they're like, okay, well, this has been like done. It's like, once this has been done so many times by so many different practitioners, it starts losing its effect. And a lot of these things, they're like, you try invoking some of these things in the name of the true God, and you're going to get your ass kicked. So in particular, there's one story that I heard about somebody who was trying to they were trying to invoke the demon Baal, which is like number 1 on the Goetic register. So they're like, okay, this is like, as far as like when Solomon, when they put together the keys of Solomon, they're saying, okay, what were the most powerful and terrifying things that, that King Solomon said that he had to seal up. He's like, well, number 1 above and beyond all was Baal, which is the demonic form of the old Sumerian god Baal. So like, okay, this is something that was like great and powerful and like worshipped for millennia. So like, okay, this thing is like, more potent and powerful than anything that anybody's worshiping now. And he's just been like chilling, minding his own business. And like people come along and they're like, okay, it's like, I have this ritual, like, and I'm going to, invoke you in the name of the one true God. Like, you think that's really going to work on these things? So they say if you wanted, you can do like path working with like specific Goetic demons and whatnot. And with that, it's you have to go and find the rights for each specific one. And I do have the rights of Astaroth, since that's the one that a lot of times like you don't choose them, they choose you. So I went down that rabbit hole a little bit and saw exactly what was needed, like what all was involved, kind of like the pros and cons, and decided, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not going to do this. So we have Ivy who chimed in. So, oh, thank you. I was just brought enchiladas. So she's saying that, yeah, she had a hereditary demon. She's saying, she says, mine came from mother's side, and haven't heard too much from that son of a bitch died, and he says still there and still annoying. So and I think really the in dealing with demons, there's 2 ways that I found that are effective, but it also really depends on like how old and how powerful this thing is. If it's anything that's got like both a name and a sigil behind it, then that's above my pay grade. Like, I'm not going to mess with that.
That's getting into professional Catholic priest territory there.
I want to say you're going above and beyond Catholic priests at that point. Like, if it's
gotta go see the medicine man.
Yeah, there's like one situation that I encountered where they're like, okay, well, do you know like this thing that you entered into this pact with? Do you have any inclination as to what it is? It's like, oh yeah, it's like it flat out told me. And it told me now that like it will forever be with me, and that it's like I might as well go by its name too, because like it is now me, I am now it, and I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, well, what is it? It's like, well, it's Azazel. I'm like, okay, yeah, good luck with that. I'm out. So yeah, there is a certain level, but I mean, a lot of, I guess like a lot of the lower level ones, a lot of times the big thing there is, it is trying to find like the true name of whatever it is. It's like, and if you can find the true name of whatever it may be, then you can perform a binding ritual. It's like, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. All really depends, because really it's like the key to any magic is intention and debt. And it's really is your will more powerful than the will of whatever it is that you're up against. That, and in doing like a binding ritual on a demon, the problem that you come across there is, well, what if somebody knows that you've done a binding ritual on this thing, and then they decide to go later on and unbind it? It's going to come back. It's going to be pissed. So then another thing that I came across, so this mythology is very interesting, but when you go into like the what they called sin eaters and what they did, and a lot of that comes back to the cleansing someone of a demonic pact, because there's like only way to get out of a demonic pact is sometimes they can be transferred. So, and actually, like the sin eaters, when somebody died, they would come in, they'd like have like breads and whatnot that they'd put on the body of the dead person. This, the sin eater would come in like and eat all the bread and everything, and they're like taking this person's sins upon themselves. But a lot of times it went further than that. It was also like, if this person has like any kind of a demonic pact or whatnot attached to them, the sin eater is taking that on themselves. And it's kind of hilarious how it's supposed to play out, but it's somebody who's been like the village sin eater, who's like taken on like all of these contracts and all of the sins of everybody everybody else that's in the village. It's at the end of the road when like the demons show up and like, okay, well, time to collect on that contract. It's wait a minute. So you've got a contract from them, a contract from them, a contract from them, a contract from them. What the hell? And so at this point, they're like, okay, well, the sin eater, it's like whatever they did previously, it's, they're under, it's like they know that they're doing this with, never being able to enter into heaven or paradise or whatever, or maybe never being able to be reincarnated, being just stuck in limbo. But they're like, but there's the loophole here, because if you have like all of these conflicting contracts, then it's okay, well, which contract gets to be enforced? And it's really the whole logic behind it, I guess, is making these demonic entities fight amongst each other while the sin eater goes about floating through eternity.
Yeah.
So
interesting job to have had.
Oh yeah. Well, and with that, that's really where a lot of like where the Baphomet comes from. Is it's the the great scapegoat. It was like one of the things that some of the cult I forget which culture it was, but kind of their version of like the sin eater was they would everybody in the village would like put all their sins and everything onto a goat, and they would just like set this thing loose to go like wander the wilderness. And they're like, well, now like all the demonic pacts or anything like that anybody's entered into, it's like it's all on the head of just this random goat now. And with that, it's there's a lot that that kind of plays into this, as far as if you start like connecting the dots, you see like how a lot of like different religious ideologies and mythologies or whatnot came from this, because this is a lot of this is stuff that like predates Christianity, for one. So there's always like so each one of these, all of these different cultures, they all have like their stories about like some about something that is like taking on these sins or like demonic pacts and whatnot upon themselves, so that everybody else will be able to get a pass.
Yeah, I was going to say it's amazing how prevalent throughout even prehistory cultures we're starting to put pieces together, that they have like pretty much every culture has a way of absolving yourself from whatever sin of the major religion or social structure. And it's one of those neat threads we have throughout time. that still connect us today.
Good. So let's see here. So we got Jamie who's saying, friend of mine says he has a demon that has followed him around since he was a kid, but he's more protective of him instead of threatening. Have you ever heard of that? Yes, I have, and this is actually so the second most common way that I found that somebody gets a demon is, and usually it's more common with young women than young men. And we're going into, okay, so might be a little bit gross, but it's, common thread. But with this, it's you're like, okay, well, you say, is this a ghost or is this a demon? Okay, you're saying it, think it's a demon. It's like, it's very protective of you. When did this thing first appear? And you're going to find with a lot of women that have like a demon that's attached to them, they're saying this thing first appeared to them around the time that they would have gotten their first period. And with this, it's demonic pacts are supposed to be signed in blood. So the stories usually, the stories are usually like very similar. It's, young age, somebody who was like abused, somehow abused, bullied or whatnot. And then just something starts appearing to them in their dreams saying, hey, I'm your friend. I'll help protect you. Like stick with me and you'll be all right. Like I'll help you get back at the people that are hurting you. And then it's stuck with them. And it's like for the longest time, it can, it's like, it seems like, okay, well, this is something that's, it's there to help protect me, so on and so forth. But it's okay. Well, what's the fine print? Because everything, with these contracts is there's always like some quid pro quo. So it's like, it might be like very protective of the person while that person's alive. But then, well, and like one there, yeah. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're dealing in the realm of the great, like, I don't really know. So, but, one myth that I've heard, and actually, with a lot of the stuff that, like the craziness that my family has gotten into, this is it's like, I know my mom had problems with her family demon and hellhounds. And one of the theories out there is that, like, if you enter into one of these demonic pacts, when you pass on, you don't necessarily, there is usually like a period of servitude or whatnot where it's like it may last indefinitely, who knows, but you don't get to reincarnate. And one of the things that they'll do is the hellhounds in particular are things that are enslaved, the people that like previously entered into contracts with this demon. So it's like entering into a demonic contract. A lot of times they say, one of the myths there is that when you pass on, it's like you might have gotten all kinds of crazy benefits, in life from for having this contract, but when you die, you're now a lapdog to this thing that you entered into the contract with. So we got Florence joining us. She's saying it's like her child was a lot of extraterrestrial ghosts and demons and Bigfoot as well. So, and actually, yeah, we got both Florence and Ivy, I think, that are joining us and like having conversations with both of them. Like they both have a lot of stories that are like very similar. So, and that's, I guess, one of the things that I come across is, like I said, I mean, I'm still like, we deal with a lot of like mythology and the great, like, I don't know. But when you meet like all of these different people that have like no contact, no communication with each other or whatnot, and and like all of their experiences, they're like, okay, like where it's like, and all of these different people that like they're all having similar experiences. It's when is it no longer a coincidence? Yeah. And Ivy says she's got an implant. It's like, and this is crazy because this is, we actually tracked down like a piece of, we tracked down a piece of moldavite for Ivy, and it's like we were just curious because I mean, for me, like, well, Ivy, if you're listening, yes, tell us a little bit more about like how you feel like this rock affects you, because to me, it's just a rock. But we got curious, and like where she believes that she has the implant, it's like she put that piece of moldavite up against it, and I sat there and I was seeing like her skin literally blister. So like, okay, there's something behind this that I don't understand. So we got Celeste joining us on Zoom. So have Flet. Okay, so Florence saying, okay, live by a ley line, satanic practices from a young age. Every 7 and 5 years, we were got to go out and skinwalkers. So said I wanted to be taken in for testing in elementary because told I had implants at the base of my head. So yeah, it's a lot of like what Florence is saying. It's like it's very similar to what talking with Ivy, her story as well. So okay, we got Celeste joining us here on Zoom, but I don't think she's got her microphone or her camera on just yet. So, well, and the interesting thing there, it's like Florence is saying that lived by a ley line where there were satanic practices. We were talking about this last week, where that's the myth behind what's going up there in Middle Canyon up in Twila Valley. They say that there's supposed to be like 2 ley lines that intersect, and that's why you're going up that way. Yeah, I know. I back when we were teenagers, the first time that we were going up there, there was we found like all of the trees had like little silver crosses spray painted on them, and that's how like people let you know, okay, you're on the right path going up to this. So, and it was kind of hilarious because everybody was like, well, like I thought these were like Satanists or cultists or whatnot, but they're like spray painting crosses on everything. It's like, is this like, Catholic Church or whatnot? They're like, it's like, and then our pagan friends that were with us were like, oh, you sweet summer child. Like the cross is a symbol that's been around a lot longer than Christianity has. This is the cross is, it's where 2 roads meet. So So Florence says she was just in Grantsville today. It's like, yeah, I got a lot of family that lives out in Grantsville. So
yeah, I'll have to see if I can get back up the canyon sometime this summer and see if I can't find that spot again.
Well, you can't get to it anymore, or if you do, it's your I know it's like the last time that I was up there, they had the whole section was like closed off with like, private property, no trespassing now, where, I mean, like back in like the early 2000s, it's like you could get up there, but now I don't know. I don't know who bought it up, but it's, yeah.
I'll just wear the hat. People they'll just look at me on their property and be like, oh, he's a wizard. He's cool.
So, but this is, yeah, that area there where the 2 ley lines intersect, and the story that I've heard there about like the secret occult war that's been going on. And this is actually like somebody that you and I both know. And it was actually like her stepdad that told me the story as to what was going on, because it was like her mom was like in some right hand path coven, and like her Yeah, so you're like, okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, and so like her stepdad is like left hand path Coven, like from Norway, and just they, telling you how long ago it was. They met on AOL Messenger, and they were very much like a, yeah, they're two different like covens were like sworn to kill each other on sight, and so naturally that the two of them wound up falling in love with each other instead. Said, but both of them were, I guess, like the left, yeah, both like that left hand path and right hand path coven. They're like, yeah, there's been like a secret occult war going on where it's like we fight over locations like this and who has the rights to be able to perform rituals and whatnot here. So, but one of the stories that I heard about the old hospital out there, that's now the Asylum 49, and why it is the way that it is. So, and I forget, I'll have to see if I can find like what site it is that has like the different like EVPs that they recorded, but they had like one EVP session where they're talking and actually getting responses, and the thing that they're talking to, they're saying, okay, well, it's like, it's like, well, why are you here? And the response comes back, trapped. Okay, well, why don't you just cross over? It's because he won't let us. So the myth there is that there is actually a demon in that hospital that is keeping all of the souls there trapped. And say that it was around like guess there was a lot that supposedly happened in Tooele in the 1950s, but we don't have the full story about a lot of things because, of course, the place that like had all the town records just happened to burn down.
Well, and it's interesting too that you bring it because my dad grew up around here around that time, and he would always go on about that, like hinting towards there was some like supernatural evil thing, but he'd never talk about it. Like he'd just be like, stay away from that kind of stuff, and get like a lot of the older guys around his age will get real nervous that grew up about that. So it's like it gives me the feeling like something went on and nobody wants to talk about it.
It's like, well, I can tell you the story that I heard, but once again, this is all just like lore and mythology, so like take it for what it is. But said there was one particular doctor that worked in that hospital, and said he was into some very shady things. In particular, they said that he was conducting a lot of experiments on the Native American population out there, and got in trouble for what he was doing and got disbarred, and found out about like this place where the two ley lines intersect. And well, as the myth goes, they say, well, he went up there, did a ritual, summoned a demon, and brought it back to the hospital. And now that demon like keeps all the souls that, all of like the souls of the people that died there in that hospital are supposedly kept trapped by whatever this thing is. So it's like, and I actually was able to go and do like a ghost hunt there with kind of the people that I went with. It's like, somebody that as well. I don't want to like throw people's names out here like without their permission or whatnot, but I'll just say Nick.
Yeah.
So you know who I'm talking about. So funny story there. We got about like 15 minutes here, so I think I can probably get through the entire story. So being a teenager out in Tooele, it's like very like small town mentality. Had like a lot of elderly neighbors and everything, and so my mom was always making us go and like help our neighbors with random things. So we had one neighbor in particular, Brother Stewart, we called him, and it's like very like old fashioned, very like very what's the word that I'm looking for? But but he had chickens and rabbits and a garden and everything, and we were always helping him out with things. So it's he's very like old, like manly man, very like not happy with the fact that he was losing his faculties and getting older. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, like pretty cool dude. So, but as what happens, over time and whatnot, he eventually passed away. And so all of these years later, it's like I've moved away from the Twilla Valley and everything, and going back to visit my parents. And of course, it's your parents' house. You don't knock or anything. You just like walk right in. So just walk right into my parents' house, and there is this weird, very emaciated, very obviously on drugs woman sitting on my parents' couch. I just like, hi, who are you? So, and then that's when my mom comes in, like, and my mom, bless her heart, it's like, oh, you remember Brother Stewart? I'm like, yeah, I remember Brother Stewart. She's like, well, this is one of his kids that he adopted. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, cool, just hi, I'm Jeff. So, and somehow like the topic comes up about Brother Stewart, and this woman starts going off about how she's staying in Brother Stewart's old house, and how the place is haunted, and how he was actually secretly a serial killer. And they know because they, found bones all over the property, and there's like secret tunnels underneath the property. And so I'm like, okay, show me. So we go over to the property, and this woman's obviously, I mean, she's higher than giraffe nuts. And it's like, well, like, I think the tunnels are like have all caved in at this point, but you like right over here, there's like, okay, yeah, so you see that slab of concrete? And like, okay, yeah, that's where his chicken coops used to be. It's like, but yeah, it's like, but you can lift up that slab of concrete here. It's like, there's a piece of rebar, and if you like put that under like this piece of concrete, you can lift that up, and there's like a secret chamber underneath. It's like, that's a solid foundation. There's nothing underneath that. She's like, so no, you can like just go and like try to lift it up. You can lift it up. So we go and we put the piece of rebar underneath there and like try to lift it up, and that piece of rebar just bends right in half. Like, it's not moving. It's a solid slab of foundation. There's nothing under it. Like, okay, well, show us the bones. And well, like Brother Stewart, like he was, he was, a little bit more outdoorsy and whatnot. So everything that, it's like, yeah, we found these bones all over the property. We know they're human. Like, no, those are rabbit bones. Those are deer bones. Those, there's nothing that you're showing that's human. Okay, well, tell us about your ghost experiences there. And she's like telling us about like, well, it's like there was one night we were sitting around drinking, and it's like, and he came and he possessed my boyfriend. Like, we can get down to the bottom of this real quickly. So I'm like, get on the phone with Nick. I'm like, hey Nick, you still do your ghost hunting thing? He's like, yeah, it's been a while since I've been on a good ghost hunt. I'm like, okay, I might have something for you. It's like, okay, well, what you got? I'm like, well, this is more just like a humor me kind of a situation, but this is what's going down. So it's like, okay, yeah. It's like, I need a good laugh. I'll do it for a case of beer. So it's like, but with this, like, my mom with her weirdness, like trying to be like overly helpful in situations like this. It's like Nick was like, okay, well, we're going to set some ground rules here. There's, no mediums, no psychics or anything to interfere with the investigation. So it's like, yeah, my poor mom was not happy with that at all. I'm like, sorry, but it's all science, what we're going to be doing here. So Nick shows up, and they start like unloading their gear. They start getting set up, and these people come out, and they start like telling their stories and whatnot. And he turns around and he looks at me, and he's just got like this wide-eyed look on his face. And I'm like, so what do you think, Nick? He's like, 2 cases of beer. So yeah, so they set up all the equipment and everything, and they got a good laugh at me because they wanted me to like go around try to collect EVPs, and they have like microphones set up everywhere so they could hear me, and I was like, I don't know what to say, so I was like at one point I'm like, here ghosts, come on out, here ghosts, here boy, I've got some beef jerky, I don't know, what do you like to eat? Here, ghosts. Come on. Come on. Do something. So they tell me like the whole time that you're out there doing that, it's like we're inside trying not to bust a gut because we got like 3 tweakers that are like going off on like how it's like, yeah, we know we're being watched. And there's like, the ghosts are like staring at us through the windows. And so we get to the point where like, okay, well, we have to go through all the footage and everything, see if we can find anything, but nothing conclusive at this point. And they're like, well, what about the tunnels under the house? Like, and that's when Nick and his friend were like, you say there's tunnels under the house? And they go over, they like move this chair out of the way, and it was a crawl space access. And Nick's friend just like rips his shirt off and he's like, I'm going down there, but one of those cases of beer is for me. So grabs a flashlight, dives down into the crawl space into the house, like going, he's got a camera, like trolls around down there for about 5 minutes, comes back up, and he's like, it's just a fucking crawl space. It's like there's nothing down there but dirt and a few spiders. So we start packing up and we're leaving and loading everything back into the truck, and then that's when one of these people comes up to us and it's like, well, do you guys have equipment to like scan to see if the house is bugged? Because we know people are listening in on us. And that's when Nick was like, that's our cue to leave, everybody. So it's like, okay, yeah, the conclusion is that, yeah, the place is haunted, but it's haunted by tweakers, not by anything supernatural. So after that, like a little while later, Nick calls me up. He's like, okay, well, it's like, I got to give it to you, Jeff. It's like, it's Tooele. It's like, it gets really boring around here sometimes. Like you gave us some good entertainment for the night. So like, how would you like to get in on like an actual, like professional investigation happening there at the hospital? Gesundheit. So yeah, that was it. It was fun. And with that, it's during that time, it's like, well, yeah, because I worked in the haunted house industry myself for like a good 4 years. So there was a lot of things, the people that were running it, like also like run the haunted house. So they found out that, I'm kind of an industry insider and whatnot. And they're like showing me like all of the cool stuff that they were working on. And a lot of like, okay, you can't tell anybody about this because, this is going to be a big surprise when we open this year. So it was a lot of fun, but did we catch any ghosts? No. So I asked Nick, like, how many of these have you been on? Like, have you ever, because I know like people have caught like things here. They've caught like EVPs and whatnot. Have you ever caught anything? He's like, so it's like, yeah, we've been here 3 times and have not caught anything. So then one of my nieces is jumping in on Instagram. She says she remembers when I made her mom run into a wall. So I don't remember that. You're going to have to like remind me of that, but it's like, I don't know if you remember, like, I think you were maybe like 5 at the time. Like it's like one of the cruelest pranks that I ever pulled on my sister was my niece was 5. I'm like, hey, it's like, you want to make a couple of dollars? She's like, well, yeah, of course. Like, okay, here's what you do. It's like, just go around the house, keep turning off all the lights. It's like, and your mom's going to like come around. She's going to, turn the lights back on. But anytime that she turns the light back on, go and turn the light back off again. It's like, and then when your mom like finally like loses her shit and is like, what the hell are you doing? Why do you keep turning off the lights? So then tell her, well, it's because the family that lives down in the basement says that they can't come upstairs if the lights are on. So this is going on for a while. It's like she's running around, like turning off all the lights in the house. And it's like, and I hear like in the back room somewhere, it's like, what are you doing? Why? And then like 2 minutes later, Jeff, I know you set her up to this. She's like, that is not cool. I am not going to be able to sleep tonight, and that's all your fault. Oh, she's talking about like in the haunted house. It's like they actually walked through, and I guess apparently like freaked my sister out and made her run into the wall because I was Chainsaw Man that night, and okay, maybe throwing my sister under the bus a little bit, but like, yeah, when haunted house is like her biggest irrational fear is apparently the chainsaw guy. So, so yeah, I guess I might have like chased my sister with the chainsaw at some point and made her run into a wall. So we've got Dana join us on Facebook saying hello. How goes it, Dana?
Hi, Dana.
It's like, we know Dana. So, well, I don't think we have any questions, and I think I'm out of stories. You got anything for us to fill the last 5 minutes, Alan?
I don't know. I'm trying to. There's been a couple spots I've been around lately that seem to have some interesting and weird energy. Just going up in the Stockton Canyon area. I'll get with you later about that though, so we can check
Ooh.
those. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I know a lot of the mine shafts we have out here. Some of them, like they're just kind of. For those of you aren't around here, we've got large mine shafts out in the middle of nowhere that just sink down. They have grates over the top of them. And I know there's a lot of those I've been running into. Like some of them, they're perfectly cool. You feel fine walking out on the grating, and kind of staring down in there. But there's a couple I've ran into lately that just, I don't know, they feel different. Not like the thing's gonna break, but they just have like some bad juju coming up out of that hole. You know what I mean?
It's like, and you're saying this is up in the Stockton Canyon?
Yeah, it's Stockton Canyon area, up and around there.
It's like, okay, well, we'll have to take this offline and go and check some of those out sometime soon.
Oh yeah. But I've asked around this week to quite a few people I know out here, and the big one I keep getting is the goat lady thing, but we kind of covered that last week.
Yep. So there's
in pretty good detail.
Oh yeah, the goat lady and then the dog face man.
And I've heard a little bit about the dog face man, but nothing that I could base actually going out and trying to track this down myself. So I've heard a little bit, but nobody gets too deep into the legend of it. So do you know a lot about it yourself, or?
A little bit. So, okay, we got about 3 minutes left. That might be enough to cover it, just like giving the quick version. So the story that I heard was that the dog-faced man was sleeping with a mine foreman's wife. And they dealt with it, frontier justice and style, and lynched the dude. And I guess like in his dying breath, it's like he like said that he was going to like put a curse on like all of the mines and whatnot and all the miners and their families, and that he would like come back to like haunt all of their families till the end of time, until like he saw like all of their bloodlines completely like wiped out. And so supposedly he comes after people that, because the joke that I made, like 90s in Tooele, there was only like 5,000 people out there and maybe like 13 last names total.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, a lot of inbreeding and whatnot going on there. So, and and I'm pretty sure like I could name names as far as like specific like family lines that this thing goes after, but they're like he takes on like the image of like this like almost like a werewolf type entity, and he specifically like goes after certain people that would have been related to the miners that lynched him, or at least that's the story anyways. as far as I know, anyway.
Huh. Well, with that's more information than I've gotten from. I've heard of it, but nobody's really gotten into any depth. Maybe I can pull something off of that, and I don't know. Maybe we can make an afternoon of trying to track down the dog face man one of these days.
Cool. Well, I'd say anybody that's like listening in, watching, like, yeah, get at us. And if you want to join in on any of our shenanigans and any of our adventures and go hunting some ghosts, then yeah, we'll make it happen. But anyhow, so it's like good to see everybody. And we do this Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. So not just like ghosts and demons and whatnot, but anything to do with like magic and the occult and the paranormal. So hope you guys will all join us again next week. But until then, take care. Be safe. I'm going to eat my enchiladas now.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.
Yep. All right. Peace out.
All right, we'll catch you later, Jeff.